Hello, everyone. I'd like to welcome you to today's webinar entitled Seasonal Outlook 2015, New and Unique Ideas to Drive Seasonal Sales with Intent. My name is Kathy Mammon, and I'm the Director of Demand Generation here at Magnetic. I'm here to introduce you to today's speaker, James Green, CEO of Magnetic. Prior to joining Magnetic as CEO in 2011, James built and sold 4 technology companies, including Sabella Media, Giant Bear, PVI, and Giant Realm. James started his career in the entertainment industry at the Walt Disney Company and Pixar. An interesting note about James. From 2009 until joining Magnetic, James fulfilled his lifelong dream of traveling around the world on his sailboat with his wife and 2 children. I'd like to welcome James to our webinar today. At this time, I'm going to hand the presentation over to James.
Thank you very much, Kathy. I'm looking forward to this. It should be fun. Here are the things that we're going to cover today. As we look at our clients and our technology and our keywords, we found these 4 snippets, ideas that we'd like to share with you, which is timing, hidden relationships, keeping it personal, and connecting offline and online. And I think you'll find that we have interesting examples on all 4 of these. First of all, let's talk about intent data for a second. Most of you on this call are working with brands or clients that sell something directly as opposed to agencies. So you have a lot of customer data. We'll call this first-party intent data. You know who's visited your website. Certainly you know who's visited your store and bought something. You have their customer relationship information. And you have fairly detailed, sometimes demographic information on your client base. Third-party intent data is what your clients are doing when they're not with you. This is the sort of thing that Magnetic has, and there are a variety of people in the ad tech universe who have this kind of data. We think we have it in spades, obviously. We focus on what people are searching for, and we really focus on a few verticals. And so in those verticals, sort of automotive, retail, consumer products, travel, finance, and in others beyond that, we really see almost anyone who is looking to buy something. And combining that intent data with what you know about your customers is very, very, very powerful. So put it more graphically, here's a little slide that says sort of what you know about your customers. You can see when they visit the site, the pages they visit, the products they reviewed. And this is what we see when they're not on your site, that they're looking for other things, that they're rating things, what they're doing, where they're doing it, and how they're doing it. I like this little slide. Take the lead with intent data. One little sort of analogy, we're going to go into timing next, and this sort of leads us nicely into it, is sort of being prepared. We watched the Super Bowl this year, and of course we watched it mainly for the ads because we're geeky that way. We saw Fiat ads, BMW ads, and Chevy ads, Chevy Colorado ads, and then we looked at the increase in web traffic, and you can see that clearly those Super Bowl television ads work terrifically well at driving traffic to the websites. But, as we're about to talk about timing, being prepared for your customer is incredibly important, and not all of these brands did an equally terrific job of being ready when the consumers showed up and tying things together. So be on time. An interesting thing that's happened over the last decade is that there is no standard way that people buy things. Maybe because I'm overly scheduled and busy, but I buy everything online. I almost never go to the store. I actually don't like going to the stores. And my wife is kind of the opposite. She really likes going to the stores. She might research online and buy in store, but as often as not, she'll do the reverse. As you see from these statistics, there isn't really a one golden rule. And these statistics sort of say the same story in another way, which is just because you see someone somewhere doesn't mean you know what they're doing. So if you see them in the store, it doesn't mean that they're there to buy something. They could be researching. If you see them doing research on a website, they could be about to buy something, or they could be a long way from it. And so looking at what people are visiting is no longer a good guide to where they are in the purchase funnel. And so you need to look at other things. And we think the best source of that, obviously, is search, because that's the point where people are hand-raising, saying, hey, this is where I am in my decision-making funnel. So a couple of examples of that. We've got one long one and one short one. The first one's a long one. What we've seen, especially over the last few years, is this incredible extension of back to school. It's a huge buying period. A lot of our clients spend a lot of money in this window. And sort of old school thinking about this is you need to focus on this in sort of August. But we have been seeing those dates move much, much earlier. And how do we know that? Not necessarily by looking at when the objects are bought, but when people are searching for them. And you want to be in front of these customers with your ads as they are searching. And we've found that the majority of people are, once July 4th hits around, believe it or not, people are already starting thinking about back to school. The majority of people by mid-July are thinking about going back to school. It's an amazingly long period to get in front of people in this big purchasing window. The opposite idea, Valentine's Day, as is illustrated by men who try to make dinner reservations 3 days before the event and can't get any. Most searches peak just the week before Valentine's Day. People do not spend a lot of time thinking about Valentine's Day before that, and so advertising with Valentine's Day specials in January, which we've seen, probably not as effective because we don't see searches spike until the beginning of February. And they really spike heavily until right before Valentine's Day. So 2 examples of really understanding your window and making sure you're capitalizing on it and using data to figure out how big the window is. Hidden relationships. This is my favorite one because there's some really extraordinarily unexpected things that happen and relationships that are, just really out of the box. One of the ones that certainly resonates with me is this first one. I don't know how many of you have gone, say, Christmas shopping, and then you sort of got tired of it and you thought, you know what, I'm going to buy something from me now. So apparently half of us do that, or 45%. So advertising, trying to reach people whilst they're shopping for something else can sometimes be a good strategy. No surprise to any of our pet lovers who are listening to this webinar. Valentine's Day, gifts for your pet, Christmas presents. That pets get presents at pretty much every holiday. So always a good time to advertise for pets. And my favorite and most unexpected correlation is this last one. We can't reveal the clients, but I'll say they're very famous for bleach. And you sort of imagine who that might be. We ran a big campaign for them, and we found that a large number of people that were interested in their product had searched for home exercise equipment. I still to this day have no idea why that would be, but we were able to find the hidden relationship and then make the campaign work more effectively. So there's some very interesting relationships that you can get when you start comparing who buys what with what they were searching for and seeing for correlations, looking for correlations. Here's another great one, and tax season is just coming around now, so I'm going to tell you all to go. This is maybe one of the most valuable things we'll tell you right now. If you look at that first circular box there, it's not maybe the easiest thing to understand, so I'm going to explain exactly what's in it. 225 billion plus 75 billion, that's 300 billion, is the total tax refunds for 2014. You expect a similar number in 2015. Of that, 25% of people say that they're going to spend a lot of money on a frivolous thing as a result of getting a tax refund. That makes this buying opportunity bigger than back to school. That's the second little box there. $50 billion was how big back to school was in 2014. So right around tax season, I know that you all think, oh, taxes is a terrible, evil thing. They're taking my money away from me. It's un-American. But there are a bunch of people who are going to get about $3,000, and many of them are going to spend it on a trip, on a luxury good, on some other splurge. And it's a great time to go out and try to capture that money. And again, it's an unexpected thing. The next one is making it personal. So when we look and we ask people, marketers, agencies, anyone who's buying media, we find that most of them say that they're doing a terrifically good job of personalizing their message. But, and I call this the going to the gym analogy. So probably if you ask a whole bunch of your friends how often do you go to the gym, they probably say, oh, we go a lot. But then if you actually checked at the gym, they're probably not going anywhere near as often as they claim. So this seems to be true in personalization. I know that here at Magnetic, there's a small minority of people that are running true dynamic creative optimization campaigns, meaning that the creative is actually modified for every single one of the people that are seeing the ad. It's a small number, certainly way less than 50%, certainly way less than the 86% that claim they're doing it. And more importantly, when we talk to people, because certainly just looking at magnetic data isn't statistically provable, but when we do run surveys across the general population, they also say, yeah, things are not personalized for me. And so although we think we're doing a good job of personalization, we are probably just scratching the surface. We can all do much more to personalize the ads. I know usually when we run campaigns, we have one or two creatives that we're rotating, and they're rotated not based on person at all. So, here are some easy things that you can do, ways to personalize the same cruise deal. You can imagine how, saying it's a romantic getaway for a single man or a woman is better than saying it's a family getaway, and the reverse obviously true for family. Same trip, same amount of money, but personalized for the buyer. So, we should all be doing things like this. And last, but by no means least, connecting online to offline. And we have a slightly different take on this. I'm going to start out with some things that I think that everyone will know. Digital is still a huge opportunity. It is bigger than television, and at least in the United States, the amount of money spent on it remains smaller than television. I should note that that's not true in all countries. So in the UK, for example, it's reversed. So this will happen. And of course, mobile is a bigger part of our experience than desktop is. And again, that's an experience that we've all seen. I'm calling mobile, in this case, tablets and mobile. It's any device that you sort of carry around with you. But that is an ongoing trend. And what's important here, and again, you probably all know this, is that the experience you have, whether it's with advertising or with the product, is the same across all of these digital media. And in fact, it should be true across non-digital media as well. So that if you put something in a shopping cart on your mobile, it shows up on your tablet and your desktop, and ideally you can go pick it up in the store in person. However, so we certainly have to be omni-channel. But a bigger thing that we see is that people, when they're advertising digitally, advertise for their digital product. So that's interesting and sort of logical. You're like, well, someone's going to buy it online, so I'll advertise for them online. And, if they're buying in a store, then I'll rely on offline media. But in fact, as this graph shows, that sort of half of all media sales, and this is trillions of dollars we're talking about here, are in fact influenced by digital media. And so if we look at these three boxes, the black one here is online sales, and the gray one is non-web influenced offline sales, and the green is web influenced offline sales. You can see that offline sales, which of course is 80–90% of all sales, are as likely to be influenced by online behavior as they are by something that's not digital. And people, we find, are not taking advantage of that at all. So that's a really important getaway. And this, unlike the gym and unlike going to the gym, that is, and unlike personalization, is something that we all seem to be aware of, that the omni-channel is lagging, and we need to get better at it. I do want to say that we have at least one very, very, very large retailer. Some would say they're the largest retailer in the world, that we have advertised with us. This is sort of, I'll leave you to read the slide here, but what I will say is the takeaway, and it shocked us the first time it came in, is that when this retailer advertises with us, and of course if you're buying from Magnetic, we're going to deliver banners, video, mobile, but all digital advertising, all of that advertising was driving to retail behavior. In other words, none of it was driving to drive an online sale. So people are doing this. The bigger guys are, I think, doing a bit of a better job of it. I think smaller companies are still looking for sort of last touch attribution, and did it really move? Did this really move the last dollar for me? But I think the big retailers are have it right in this case, that you really should be spending digital dollars to drive physical results. That's it. That's what we've got for you today. Give us a call if you've got questions. Download our white papers. Take this webinar away with you. And remember to capitalize on influence windows. Timing is everything. Look for those hidden relationships. They're fascinating and have great opportunities. Personalize more than you think you can, and continue to make improvements on omni-channel. Thank you very much.
Thank you, James. I want to thank you for taking time out of your day to join us today. And I want to thank you, James, for sharing your insights with us. And if you're interested in learning more on this topic, you can visit our website and download our seasonal guide ebook. Thank you again. This concludes our webinar, and have a great day.